Yes,
Carter.
Mr. Ron Carter.
So, real quick, Brian, I wanted to ask you, as a business owner, I'm the special guest, but I'm taking over. I got the questions. Um,
Yeah.
as a business owner, we've been seeing a lot of stuff in the news about President Trump, the tariffs, the stock market going down, all these predictions about the economy and blah, 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 and what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. And I'm just really curious. You own an electrical business. I know that um, you have supplies and equipment and things that have to be purchased for that business, to complete jobs and stuff like that. And so, what are your thoughts on the tariffs, at least when it comes to like not macroeconomics, but like just what you got going on yourself? Like how do you feel about this whole situation?
Yeah, that's a great question, and just a simple answer is what you're looking for. Um, I personally think that the tariffs are going to help this country, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. The tariffs are just trying to get what they charge us on tariffs. So if you really look at the situation, say let's just take Canada. They're
Right.
charging, and I'm just going to use 25% on tariffs from America. So we're just equaling the tariffs coming back. That's all we're doing. That's all this is about. It's equaling the tariffs coming back. However, what happens is the companies will keep more things in the United States because now they're not getting tariffs for selling in the United States. So, will it cause pain at first? Absolutely. Absolutely, it will cause pain because the prices will go up on the things that we're getting,
That are
right?
imported.
Imports coming in.
Yeah.
The prices are definitely going to go up. But what's that
Right.
going to do? It's going to force more American companies to stay in the United States and sell the products because the United States is the biggest, product
Importer.
buyer.
Yeah.
Eh, You
So
know,
I think I think you brought up a really good point because everybody on if you're looking at like stock market news and stuff like that, which I look at a lot,
yeah,
everybody is predicting like and everybody is reiterating this narrative that when you import tariffs, the prices get passed along to the American consumer,
hmm,
which in a sense is true, right? If a company, it's true under one condition, and that's why I like that you brought that up. That's only true if the companies that are importing things to, like, let's say it's a manufacturing company and they're importing steel or whatever to make whatever it is that they're making. Well, that steel is going to cost them more now if they're importing steel. I'm just making this up to so we can visualize this. If they're importing steel and that steel costs them more, now the cost of the good that they've manufactured costs more for the company, so they're going to sell it at a higher price, right? But they're not going to sell it at a higher price if it means that the demand goes down. If it means that, hey, if we sell this at this high price, people won't buy it, well, then they're not going to sell it at that high price. Instead, they're going to look for an alternative to get the steel from an American company. And maybe that alternative does cost more for them to buy it here in the US because of labor and all that stuff. But if their total product price is still lower than it would, like, yeah, prices may go up for us, um, but it doesn't mean that like all the companies are going to keep everything the same and then just pass all the tariff prices along to us.
that's
You know,
correct. You know, it, okay, so there's a Canadian plant car manufacturer that just closed that is closing. Dodge, I think it's the Ram trucks.
Okay.
So in Canada, that plant they decided to shut down. Same as in Mexico, they're shutting down a Ram plant. However, they're opening a new one that's going to create like 12,000 jobs in the United States.
Mhm.
And the reason why Ram is doing that, they're like, well, wait a minute, more people buy Ram trucks in the United States. We're not going to get tariffed if we have a plant in the United States.
Right.
Okay? So now take who's the masons that are building the plant? More jobs. Who's the builders? Who's the electricians? Who's the plumbers? More jobs in the United States. But the challenge is,
And
the NAFTA,
also, there's just to add to that, right? You have, like, once the plant is built, then you have the workers working in an area, working at a plant, which stimulates the economy of the area, which stimulates the housing market, it stimulates schools, hospitals. Once you have people working in a place because they need to work there, you have all the surrounding services, entertainment, different things for those people. Yeah,
absolutely correct. And then not only that, but now let's just say that the car manufacturer is going to buy leather for the seats of their car, right? Now they're buying from an American company that can compete with the foreign companies. Now,
right.
a lot of people don't understand, as Americans, we pay, if you own a business and you have workers, you're paying workman's comp. What workman's comp is, if somebody gets hurt, that they'll pay for, their whatever it is. It protects, the owners as well, but they have insurance that pays for whatever happens to them. Now,
Right.
take China. Someone gets hurt in China, they just pick the guy up and throw him in the dumpster. He's no good.
There's
They
a
don't
reason the
have
labor's cheaper.
they don't have EPA laws. They don't have labor laws. They don't have any of it. So, if you're paying somebody a nickel a day, how can American companies possibly compete with that? They can't, right? Unless you start tariffing, right? Now you can tariff. So now you've got a little bit of equality with American companies. Now they can compete. But it's been
Mm.
going on for decades and decades and decades. So is it is it too late to do this? Um, because by doing, see, the country was the like it was a global market. Okay, do you understand what I mean by that? Like everything.
I think I do, but explain it for anybody who's watching, that
Yeah.
might not.
So a global market was like free trade for everybody, except when people were buying from America, there's a tariff on American products coming into that country. Now, let's just Cadillac, Cadillacs, Harley Davidsons. The tariffs that are on those motorcycles are incredible, or cars, right? Up to 50%. Okay,
Okay.
okay. So now what happens is America's not exporting anything because no one can afford it in other countries
It
because the tariffs
explains
are so high.
it explains why when I lived in Japan, didn't see any American cars
It
anywhere.
That's exactly correct. If you go to Europe, you can spend a month in Europe and you might see like 5 Fords. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, are the tariffs the right move? Yes, they are. Is it too late to do that because everyone's used to a global market? I I'm not sure. I'm like I'm not an expert in this. I know that the media always comes down, like, the media is so hard on Trump. Whatever he does, you can just expect them to be hard on any decision that he makes.
Yeah, well, they're hard on any president too, you know. Um, but yeah, but
I
yes,
mean,
I feel like because there's a whole bunch of other things and like speculation going on too, where it's like the tariffs could be there as a negotiating tactic to get tariffs to be dropped, you know, by other countries, and then actually
yep,
not implemented. And I think the reason why people are so upset right now about it is not. It's like I feel like I see so many people that are just thinking so short term, and this includes in the stock market
yep,
too.
yep,
Like people are like, "Oh, all this stuff is going on, like mass sell off," and a lot of this is like portfolio managers and people that have to make a profit every quarter. They're investing with other people's money, and so
mm,
they have to show that they're making profit every single quarter. So they're pressured to like be like, okay, all these stocks dropped, and all the stocks dropped because of all the uncertainty. Everyone's like, I don't know what's going to happen, and so they're like, this, like, I'm going to sell my stock. I'm not going to buy anymore, and so then it drops. It doesn't mean that the value in these companies has actually shifted, right? It just means that the perceived value has shifted. And so then the price drops, and then these other people that have to show profits are like dumping stock and selling it, and then buying bonds and buying other things that they know are going to keep going up, even if
mm,
it's at a lower percentage. And but when they do that, it's kind of crazy how this stuff is all intertwined. And I like this from going to school for economics and accounting, is that, well, when they do that, the company actually becomes less valuable because of that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then the company is forced to cut expenses, and so everybody is worried about a possible recession, right? Even though a recession is literally 2 quarters of reduced GDP, so slowed down economic growth over 2 quarters. And
right,
everyone's like, "Oh, the market went down. Are we in a recession?" It's like you can't even say the scary R word until there's been 2 quarters. You know, it could
yeah.
just be a contraction, which we're overdue for. You know,
And
uh,
and even when you think about it, 2 quarters, that's not a lot of time.
right.
You know,
That's what I mean.
and
It's like so short term.
this brings up another interesting point, right? So let's bring fear into everybody, right, with the media, because that's what it does.
Mm,
And so now you've got people panicking, selling stocks and all that. um, but it's just a matter of time. It's just wait it out. um, in my opinion, I think when you're talking trillions of dollars in debt like the United States can't even make interest payments on the money that they've borrowed,
yeah.
right? That's think about if you lived your life like that. Ron,
Oh, I'd be so stressed.
I can't pay the interest on my credit cards, right? I can't even pay the minimum interest on the money that I've borrowed. If you ran your life like our government runs, man, we'd be in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And you know, I I think that the tariffs are gonna, it's going to help with that deficit. That's what they're trying to do. Everyone sells it. Everyone says it. Whether it's Obama, Clinton. I mean, I think Clinton had a balanced budget actually, but um, all these presidents say it, but no one does it. And now somebody's doing it, and people are freaking out.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, what are you freaking out for? Elon Musk is going after fraudulent money. It's your freaking money. That's what I don't understand. Like, people are getting pissed off. It's their own tax money, whether it be if you make a lot or a little, it doesn't matter. Your
Mhm.
money is getting taken under fraudulent conditions. He's finding it out, and people hate him for it. It just does.
Yeah.
I just can't wrap my head around it. Um, so
There's a
that's
there's
my
this there's a specific type of leadership that people tend to not really like, and it's called change leadership. And
what's it called? What kind of leadership?
change,
Change. Oh,
yeah,
change. Yeah,
change leadership. And I
yeah,
mean that's a specific term, um, and it's like transformational leadership, where it's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, here's a great example of a change leader. Steve Jobs was a change leader,
hmm,
and because he came in, like they started Apple, and I think they had like 10 or 15 different designs for the what the mouse was going to look like before he finally accepted like 10 to 15 like actual prototypes. Like they made it. And he's like, no, this isn't good enough. Looks just like, HPs or just, like, no.
yeah,
Um, and so like their original mouse had the one button. It didn't have the two clickers, it was just one, and just they wanted it to be different. They wanted it to be seamless. They wanted their first personal computers to be for people who didn't understand computing, because back then computers, it's like you turn it on and there's the green cursor and you have to type in the code of what you wanted to do. And he's like, no, like these need to be for people who don't know that. And they're like, but Steve, like nobody there's nobody who exists that doesn't know that and wants a computer. And he's like, there will be. And he had to
yeah,
like lead his company through this like change of mindset, change of thinking. And it wasn't for everybody. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, Steve Jobs was an asshole and this and that. And it's like, well, like you're gonna ruffle some feathers whenever you're instituting like big change. And we definitely see that for sure. Like just look at like the protests from yesterday, that were
yeah.
all over the country.
All over the country, these protests, and hey, that's fine. That's why we live in this country, right?
Right, because we're allowed
Free
to do it.
speech. I mean, and that's okay. Burning down Tesla plants aren't it? That's not okay. But
Right.
the protests, that's okay. Um, but the challenge that I have with that, okay, you're protesting what? Tariffs? That's going to help you in the long run. Um, you're protesting Elon Musk, who is trying to save Social Security, um, by finding all these things, like $6 billion going to why frogs mate on Fridays, and I'm using just that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that, but there's so many things that it's mind blowing if you look at the Dodge report and you're
Right.
like, wow, that's where I don't know about you, Ron, but writing, tens of thousands of dollars every year to the US Treasury for stuff that's going like that is kind of upsetting. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
stay
And
away
here's
from that and just do my American duty by paying my taxes and things like that. However, um, yeah, I want, I don't want a big government. I'm just not about that. Lean and mean is how I like things, but that's me.
spoken like a true business owner.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely,
that's
right?
what we love is just efficiency and
Yeah, I mean, um, it, and with no one getting hurt.
yeah.
So if the money's going somewhere where like what is there like say 2 million people that are over the age of 175 and their
What?
social security is going to them.
Oh,
It
yeah.
it's like, okay,
Yeah,
where is that money actually going? Is it
yeah,
go like, for example, right? Is it going to a crooked politician? Whether you're the right or the left, who cares? If it's illegal, it's illegal. And I always said, before my mom passed away, I paid so much in taxes that I could have easily taken care of my mom better than any government program. You know what I mean? So translation, if my money was going somewhere good and I knew it was going somewhere good, okay, it doesn't hurt as much paying that US Treasury invoice.
right. Yeah, I think. I hope it. I mean, I hope it all like actually pans out in our favor, right?
Mhm.
Because there are a lot of variables, and but here's the thing: I'm just like, you know what? These people are smarter than me. Like, even there may be people out there that hate to admit it, but like I even don't like even saying this. It's like, you know, Biden, he may not seem like it now because he's old, right? And but like he was smarter, probably smarter than me. If he got to where he got to in life, compared to where I got, you know, he knows more things about what he did than I do, even if
I
I like to
mean,
think different. And same with Trump, and same with Elon. Like they're
yeah.
smarter than me. So it's like I'll just let them do what they're doing, and hopefully it pans out.
I mean,
And
I think if like I think that um Biden, not so much. I think you're a lot more intelligent than Biden.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is like not intelligence, because there's a difference in like a level of intelligence and a level of knowing, you know, of specific knowledge, right? Like I know
Yeah.
nothing about politics and like being able to get to a high level of office.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of like, let's just throw a lie after a lie after a lie, and you know, I mean, and and, and I'm not here to bash the Democratic Party. There's a lot of Republicans that I just can't stand,
yeah,
and that's the truth. I don't try. I try not to get involved in that stuff because I get too emotional about it, and I don't want.
yeah,
I don't want to go to that place. But I can tell you this. I met Dr. Wayne Dyer. Did I ever tell you that story? I literally met him in Boston, and I remember him saying, he's like, I taught history for decades. He goes, and what I realized, the only thing I ever taught was war after war after war after war. That's what I taught: World War One, World War Two, the Vietnam War, and you could go on and on, the Iraq, all
yeah,
this stuff. And I remember him saying, is there anybody out there in the audience who hates a Russian person or establishment? No one would raise their hand. And his point was, if we came together as a society, we wouldn't get pushed into these ridiculous wars,
yeah,
you know? Because
yeah,
it's just, I don't know. That's my take on it. Uh, you know, the governments want war because it's a money making machine.
yeah. So my prediction for the whole like tariffs thing is that some countries are going to
Mm.
uh, raise tariffs even more, right? Like reciprocal. Some are
Yep.
going to drop them or lower them, and then we'll drop and lower ours with them.
Hmm.
And some of it's going to stay the same. Some companies here in the U.S. are going to source their materials from inside the U.S. And because of that, prices are going to go up just marginally for their stuff. Some companies are going to source their materials, continue to source it outside the US, so their prices will also go up. And some companies that don't do too much importing are going to be sitting pretty because they weren't doing too much importing anyways, and then they're going to grow. And
Yeah.
there's going to be some economic downturn where all this transition's happening just because of like the stock market and companies shifting where they're allocating resources and a lot of uncertainty during that time. How long that will take, I don't know. One quarter,
Yeah.
2 quarters, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, right? If all this actually goes through, if they don't drop things,
Sure.
and because of that, it's going to seem like everything is all bad for the people who are looking at the short term. And then once things start to get put into place and grow, then I have a feeling that by the end of 4 years, like 4 years from now, we're going to be like, oh, like I think the economy is probably going to be doing well, and there will be some pain experienced in the short term to get to the game, you know. But that's my prediction, and that's exactly why when the stock market dropped, I just doubled the amount that I was dollar cost averaging and just bought more, bought more stocks. But yeah, it
Sure.
dropped, but like I don't plan on pulling this money out for decades anyways. So
Yeah. Right. That's
that means I'm getting things at a discount.
it's smart investing, right?
Yeah,
But like just saying, I think no one else has ever dared to put tariffs on like like uh President Trump is. Now,
no, it's never happened.
it never did, and I think that it's possible that it's just going to lower your personal taxes that you have to pay the government. Um,
That'd be nice.
it'd be great, and I hope
Yeah,
people realize, like, if you're paying, say, 28%, and the tariffs are going to have you pay 10%, that's a huge difference. That's money in your pocket,
yeah.
and it's creating more jobs in this country.
Well, we're gonna have to wait and see how it pans
Yeah.
out. Um,
I mean, well,
and
how would it backfire?
well, I
How
mean, honestly, there's a million ways. I don't want this to go too long because I do got to run. We're at 30
Yeah.
minutes right now.
All right.
But here's the thing: if any of you guys watching want to check out a different video that Brian and I did just last week, we were talking about like the political divide because that's we kind of touched on it a little bit here. I'll link that somewhere around this video up in one of the corners, and you can check that out. Um, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right. See you later on.
Cool. So, do we stop? Yeah. All right.